Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Dana. I was born and raised in Kentucky in the United States, and I make videos to help you learn English. Today's video will be more podcast style, so feel free to watch the video or just listen to my voice today.A few weeks ago, I made a video about confidence, right? Confidence versus perfect English. If you haven't watched that video, I'll put the link on the screen. In that video, I talked about how we can change our mindset when speaking English. But I didn't talk about what native speakers think about imperfect English. Some of you may still be a bit worried. You might be wondering, what will native speakers think if my English sounds a little bit unnatural? Will they get annoyed? Will they not want to talk to me? Of course, I could say, don't worry, you'll be fine. American people won't get mad. They won't mind. But I'm an English teacher. I have a lot of experience talking to non-native English speakers, so of course I think this way. But what about other people? My channel focuses on American culture and our way of thinking. So we are going to focus on Americans. What about Americans who are not English teachers, like me? What do they think? I wanted to include opinions like these in my video, so I went to Reddit to get some comments. Everyone, do you know Reddit? This is a website where you can post questions and have discussions online, kind of like 2channel or Yahoo! Chiebukuro in Japan.I found some discussions on this website where Americans share how they feel when they talk to non-native English speakers. There may be some difficult language in the comments, so I will explain the meaning of each one and share my reaction to some of them. Sounds interesting, right? Are you ready? Let's get started.Here is the beginning of the discussion I found. I will read it first. I'm not a native English speaker, but I try hard to improve. I study, practice, and use English online as much as I can. Still, I sometimes feel scared to speak because I worry people will judge me, laugh, or think I'm stupid if my English isn't perfect.So I'm curious, when someone speaks to you in imperfect or broken English, how do you actually feel? Are you usually patient and understanding? Do you appreciate the effort? I'd really like to hear honest opinions from native speakers or people living in English-speaking countries. So this is what the person wrote to start the discussion.They want to know if native speakers think negatively, if their English isn't perfect, or if they are okay with it. I tried my best to find responses that look like they are written by Americans. Some of the comments were long, so I cut some of them to only include the important information.If you want to read the whole discussion, you can find the link in the video description. Anyway, here's the first one I found. At least in the US, we're an immigrant nation. I'm so used to broken English that it barely registers that I'm hearing it. This person is saying that because there are so many immigrants in the US,Even if they hear English that is a bit unnatural, they don't pay attention to it. In other words, they're totally used to a bit unnatural English, so they don't mind at all. It's totally okay for them. This next comment is a little similar. It also talks about the US having many diverse cultures. So they said, totally cool. We have a good bit of diversity here, and a lot of people have foreign accents. As an American-born person, I love hearing a variety of foreign accents and seeing foreign cultures here. This person has a similar opinion to the first person. Also, let me explain some of the words in this comment. In this case, cool is a casual way to say okay or fine. So they are saying they don't mind or it's completely okay to use imperfect English. They also said they actually like hearing people's accents and seeing people from different backgrounds. So this person also seems to have a very positive impression of non-native English speakers. Let me make one comment here. In Kentucky, where I live, there is not a lot of diversity, actually. The people who wrote these comments probably live somewhere with more immigrants, maybe a big city. In Kentucky, I don't think people are very used to hearing non-native English. But that doesn't mean they will react negatively. They will probably not think anything and just treat you like everyone else. Anyway, let's go on to the next comment. If it is a casual conversation, I am not at all upset or put off by someone trying to communicate in English. This is not the same to me as people who hold themselves out to be fluent in a language. If I call tech support and get a person who has an accent I almost cannot or can't understand, I have no patience for it, as they hold themselves out to be fluent. I usually ask for a native speaker of English. Let's look carefully at these sentences. First, they said that if it's just a casual conversation, it's okay if the other person's English is not perfect. That's no problem for them. But in the next part, they said they have a problem when someone holds themselves out to be fluent. This means when someone claims or says, I'm fluent in English, but they're really not. They're really not fluent. In this case, this commenter might get a bit angry or upset. They gave an example of tech support. So, tech support on the phone. If the person on the phone can't speak English well, the customer might not get the help they need. In those cases, this commenter prefers to talk to native English speakers, it looks like. Of course, this doesn't mean the person is not skilled or capable. This just means communication is especially important in these situations. Here's one more similar comment. I will say if it's in a business/customer service setting, I greatly appreciate when people have worked on their accents. A lot of times it's not the grammar that makes someone difficult to understand, it's the accent. So this person is saying that in a business setting, the English accent is very important. Probably also, this is talking about pronunciation. If the other person has a strong foreign accent, they may not be able to understand, which can cause miscommunication. Yeah. Everyone, what do you think about these two comments? If you, for example, are talking to customer support or tech support on the phone, and the other person can't speak your language very well, how would you feel? Let me know in the comments. Okay, on to the next one. Here's the next comment. I'm a native English speaker from the US. I'm impressed when someone knows a second language, even if it's not fluent. Where I grew up, becoming bilingual isn't really encouraged. Some kids take Spanish or French starting in junior high and don't follow through with it beyond a couple years. For the most part, Americans can only speak a few words or maybe a basic sentence. Let's look at these sentences more carefully. This person said they are impressed when someone knows a second language, which means they think it's amazing or a great thing. Then they talk about something that I think is important. Speaking two languages isn't encouraged in the US. This is what they said, right? This means that sometimes learning a second language is not seen as very important. Like this comment says, in the US, students have to study a foreign language in middle or high school. Usually it's Spanish or French. But most people don't follow through. That means they quit. They quit learning only after a couple years. From my experience, this is very true. Most people around me studied Spanish for a couple years in school, but they can't speak at all now. I don't know many bilingual people in this area. Speaking a second language isn't seen as important or necessary in the US in many cases, at least where I'm living. And this is changing a little bit, but it's still true. So I agree with this comment. Now let's look at the last comment. Okay, native speaker of American English. The most negative emotion I feel when I hear English spoken poorly by non-native speakers is some embarrassment that I can't understand them better. In other words, I never judge non-native speakers. It's impressive that people learn English, and when I hear people struggle, I just feel like I want to help them as much as I can. This person said they actually feel embarrassment when they can't understand the other person. This means they feel bad. They wish they could understand. Like the comment before, this person also said it's impressive when someone can speak a second language, and they want to help the other person get their ideas out. This person's way of thinking might feel similar to some of you. They feel bad for not understanding and they want to help the other person. To me, it's very interesting to see this way of thinking from an American person. But to be honest, I'm not sure if many Americans feel this way. This person seems to be extremely considerate of others. But most Americans probably don't think about it this deeply. That's how I felt when I read this. Okay, that was the last comment. Overall, the most common reactions are people don't mind, people are used to it, and sometimes people are even impressed. Most people care much more about communication than perfect English, especially for daily conversation. You don't need to worry if your English isn't perfect. All right, we are going to wrap up here. I hope this helps everyone understand what Americans think when they hear non-native English. Also, I hope this video encourages you not to be afraid to speak English when you travel to the US or any other English-speaking country. That is all for today's video. See you in the next one. Bye everyone.